I first got off birth control, my skin went through it. As someone who is not familiar with acne, it felt pretty devastating. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I felt like nothing was working, but eventually I found my way. Today, I want to discuss my journey after birth control when it comes to my skin, what I discovered wasn't working, and what I discovered was actually exacerbating that acne. So if that's something you're interested in, then keep watching. In February 2024, I decided to get off birth control. I was using birth control to just kind of alleviate my periods. I was the type of person to get heavy periods, nausea. It felt like I was having pregnancy symptoms and it was the worst. So I decided to get on birth control. But in 2023, I realized that it was actually secretly hurting my body on the inside. I kind of did my research and realized that I personally didn't want something like that in my body. So I made a New Year's resolution that I would stop birth control a month after the year it started, which was in 2024. About a month after my last pill, I started breaking out like crazy. I didn't know what was going on. I'm personally not familiar with acne. I didn't have it in my teen years. I didn't have it in my early 20s. So now here I am in my 30s. Actually, I was literally just 30, but turning 30 with a bunch of adult acne, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I don't typically break out. If I did break out, especially when I was on birth control, I probably had 2 pimples a month. So it wasn't really a big deal. I just knew that, okay, my period's coming. This is why I have a pimple. So once my skin started going crazy, I decided to take matters into my own hands and I went to an esthetician. She told me that where my acne was located, it seemed like a gut situation. So we went over the things that I was eating and I told her that I do consume a lot of dairy at that time. And that was one thing that she had stressed. Dairy is something that can form a lot of inflammation in your body and cause acne. So, as devastating as it was to have acne, as devastating as it was to have to let go of something that I love so much, which is dairy. I love pizza, I love pasta, I love cheese on just about anything that I can possibly put cheese on. It was very eye-opening. It made me feel like, oh, I just want to go back to the past. Like, I really just want to be able to eat whatever I want and not have to deal with the consequences. But my new reality was I basically had to cut back on dairy. So that same day, I went home, I got on TikTok, I found a bunch of different videos that talked about dairy alternatives. And that was when I started using dairy alternative cheeses, which of course you have to be very careful because some of them do not taste like cheese, but others, I mean, they get you through. So here we are about 2 to 3 weeks later. I've cut out dairy. I'm noticing a slight reduction, nothing too drastic, but I'm noticing that my acne is less than it was before. Now, was it a drastic difference? Absolutely not. But I will say the one benefit to that was I noticed my stomach was flatter. I did not know that dairy creates this inflammation, this bloating, and it was one thing that really made me want to stick with cutting dairy out because I have always longed for like a flatter stomach. Of course, I work out, but I have always longed for a flatter stomach. And I didn't know that the dairy was really the reason why my stomach was bulging out the way that it was. With the benefit of less acne than I had before, I also had a flatter stomach. So that was beautiful. But it wasn't something that just took care of my problem, which was acne. So about a few months later, after cutting out dairy, I randomly ran out of avocado oil. And I know you're probably like, what does this have to do with acne? Stay with me. I ran out of avocado oil and then I started to realize that I wasn't getting these bumps on my forehead after like a few weeks. And one thing that I was really struggling with was these random blackheads that were coming across my forehead. It would happen maybe every other week. I would clear them out and then the next week I would realize that I'd have more, and I thought it was just from the gym, but it was not from the gym. It was actually because I was cooking in avocado oil. And although avocado oil can be really good for you, if you're cooking it at a high smoke point, it can turn toxic and cause inflammation into your body. With avocado oil, it contains omega 9s and omega 6s, and These are two things that will increase sebum thickness and also exacerbate inflammation within your body. So one thing that I do look for whenever I am shopping for foods, I look for things that don't have avocado oil, palm oil, canola oil, just being really careful about the oils that I'm putting into my body, because figuring out exactly what is causing that inflammation, what is triggering your hormones to be thrown off is very important. Your diet is the biggest key into figuring out how to manage your acne. It really is going to start within. So please start looking at the back of your ingredients labels. And I know it's something that you haven't had to do, but they're putting so much in these products nowadays that just look, and I feel like it would be better off if you took 1 minute to look at the ingredients versus having to deal with a pimple for 1 week, and also probably longer than that because you have the post-inflammatory marks. So look at the ingredients, make sure they're healthy for your body and your gut. Now, I know I've talked about cutting out dairy, figuring out foods that don't exacerbate inflammation within your body. This doesn't mean that you'll never be able to have dairy in your life. This doesn't mean that you can't eat anything with avocado oil or whatever is triggering your acne. This just means you need to have balance. You can't have as much as you used to have before. Maybe you might have to cut it out for a little bit. Maybe you might have to go on a detox. I personally did a juice cleanse for a very long time, and I feel like my gut is probably at the best it's been in a long time. Maybe just cleansing your system, have that balance. So the way that I have exercise balance is I personally like to have a protein shake. I used to eat plant-based protein shakes, but with all of the consumer reports coming out now, finding out that there's a lot of lead in plant-based products, I have personally switched to a grass-fed whey option. Even though that's dairy, I would prefer to have whey protein with no lead versus a plant-based protein with lead. So that's me making a very conscious substitute. Another way that I create that balance is if I'm going out to eat, I will have a cheeseburger with real dairy cheese on it. However, whenever I'm at home and I make a cheeseburger, I'm going to use dairy-free cheese. I promise you, you eat your food, you're not going to think about it. It's a taste that you're going to have in your mouth for probably 30 minutes and then it's over. So you just have to kind of get over that feeling of like, oh, I need to taste this, or oh, it needs to have this, because no, it doesn't. Do what's best for your body. Would you rather just spend 30 minutes eating a cheese that may not taste like the cheese that you're familiar with? Or would you rather spend a few weeks with a pimple on your face? That's all you have to think about. And honestly, you know which one you should choose. Next, we're going to talk about skincare. At first, I was trying every single skincare on the market. I had started with SkinScript. When I tell you, I have all of their products. I have the green tea, citrus. I have their glycolic clarifying toner pads. This raspberry clarifying tone, this is a face wash. I bought everything from that brand because a lot of estheticians were like, yeah, this is what I use on my clients. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy it for myself. I think I bought too much because I didn't know what was working and I didn't know what was harming my skin. So I decided to take a break from all of that. Then I just started figuring out what worked for me. It was really hard to not get sucked into the TikToks that will tell you like, oh, you need a skin cycle. You need to use Korean skincare. All of these different products that are on the market. And then you see these comments and they're like, yeah, that worked for me. Yeah, this worked for me. And it is so hard to get caught up in that. But honestly, everyone's skin is different. To be completely fair, it really starts with within first. And then you can clean outside with your products. So my best advice on not falling into skincare trends and just really figuring out what works for you is making sure that you're consistent, making sure that you're not adding too many products into your skincare routine at the same time, so you know exactly what's working and what's not, so that way you can throw it away, and just really paying attention to what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. So now let's get into my holy grail. The things that are working for me right now currently is I wash my face with the CeraVe foaming hydrating cleanser. I don't think it's hydrating. I don't have it with me right now, But this CeraVe cleanser, this is the one that I use because it doesn't strip my face of anything. It has niacinamide in it. The best thing you can do is keep something that's gentle for your skin. Now, because I have been acne prone, the one thing that has really kept my acne at bay is this Stride X salicylic acid pads. These are my holy grail, and click the link below. This is not sponsored. Go to the reviews in Amazon and see that there is not one bad review. If there is, leave me alone because I haven't seen them. It's been a while since I've checked. But everything that people say about this product is true. It is the holy grail. I use it morning and night, every other night. Morning and every other night. Right after I get out of the shower, I wash my face. I'm going to go in with these Stride X pads every single time, especially after the gym. Then I like to go in with a moisturizer. And in the morning times, I don't like to do a very heavy moisturizer. I will say with these Stride X pads, they are a little drying. So please make sure that you use something that is going to moisturize your skin, depending on your skin type. Right now, I've been using this Ordinary Natural Moisturizing Factors HA. I've just been using it. I haven't had any reaction to it, but this one has been working with this Stride X. But I don't use this when I'm using a sunscreen. So in the morning times, I'll just use my face wash, Stride X, and my sunscreen. I like to keep it very minimum because when I do a moisturizer and a sunscreen, I feel like that clogs my pores and I break out a little bit more. Now, nighttime, I like to do the same routine, except I also like to include the Colleen's Rothschild's Mandelic Acid Serum. I really like to have that in my routine every other night just because it's a mandelic acid. It's going to take care of acne. It's also going to take care of hyperpigmentation that's on my skin that has formed from the acne, but it's also going to inhibit that melanin production after you pop a pimple or something like that. If I do have a pimple, I do like to use the Colleen Rothschild spot treatment. This one has lasted me an entire year, and I just put it right on the spot, and I can assure you in 2 days, it's clear. It takes care of the redness. It also makes it go down. So I'll use it morning and night. You just have to be really careful because if you use it in the daytime, it sometimes leaves a little white cast, so you have to be careful, but just a thin layer, you'll be fine. And lastly, when I was trying to figure things out, I can also attest to the Colleen Rothschild's Acne Care Solution Kit. It comes with the face wash, it comes with the cleanser, and it also comes with their moisturizer. I can vouch for that entire system. It does work. It's very gentle and it keeps your acne at bay. But if you want to go for something more affordable, the CeraVe, the Stride X, as well as the Innisfree sunscreen, I feel like that is really going to be gentle, but that's also going to take care and keep your acne at bay. I just want to reiterate, everyone's skin is different. It's going to start with what's within. So make sure that you are eating gut-friendly foods and maybe taking a probiotic to help with your gut microbiome. On the outside portion of it, keep your routine simple. It doesn't need to be elaborate and it doesn't have to be expensive. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you felt value in this video. If you did, please go ahead and like so that way it can feed it into the algorithm and help someone else. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you would like to see more of me, go ahead and subscribe. But other than that, I really do appreciate your view. Everything that I have mentioned in this video will be linked down below. And I wish you the best on your skincare journey. See you in my next video. Bye.